Sophia Miller, a 68-year-old woman living alone in a small house on the outskirts of Sydney, had spent her entire life caring for her family. She married Charles at 23 and quickly began a small family with 3 children. However, when the children grew up and Charles passed away last year from heart disease, Sophia realized that she had devoted her entire life to her family without taking enough time for herself. The sorrow of losing her husband, the unresolved conflicts with her children, and the overwhelming loneliness consumed her. Her eldest son, James, now married and living in Melbourne, and her daughter Emily, 45, still lived nearby. However, there had always been a distance between them. Emily had always felt isolated and misunderstood in the family. She thought her mother was too strict and never opened up emotionally. On the other hand, Sophia, despite loving her daughter deeply, found it difficult to connect with Emily because of the invisible walls they both had built. One morning, while sorting through old photos in the living room, Sophia received a phone call from James. His voice, as usual, was full of concern. "Mom, I've spoken to Emily. We think it's time for you to come to Melbourne so we can spend some time together. I know you've felt alone lately." Sophia was surprised but felt a sense of relief. Despite the past conflicts with Emily, this invitation made her feel like there might be hope for a new beginning, a chance to mend the wounds in their family. When Sophia arrived in Melbourne, she immediately sensed a change in the family dynamic. James and Emily had prepared a warm dinner, and they invited her to join them. They all sat in silence for a long time, as if searching for a way to break the ice, a way to bridge the gap between them. Finally, Emily spoke up. "Mom, I know we've had a lot of conflicts, and I've always felt like you didn't understand me. But I realize now that I was wrong. You did everything you could, and I didn't see that." Sophia felt a wave of emotion rise within her. Looking into her daughter's eyes, she realized that, despite their differences, the love in their family was still there. She nodded gently and said, "Did you ever think that I also needed to be understood and loved?" Over the next few days, Sophia stayed with James and Emily, and they began to share feelings that had never been expressed before. Emily spoke about the lack of affection she felt growing up, how she always thought her mother was too busy with the family to care for her. Meanwhile, Sophia, through all the years, had hidden her own pain and loneliness, thinking she had to shoulder everything on her own. "We never really knew how to talk to each other," Sophia sighed. "I always thought I had to do everything to keep the family together, but I forgot that I needed to take care of myself, too." Emily sat silently, tears welling up in her eyes. "I'm sorry I didn't realize that sooner. I thought you didn't understand me, but really, I didn't understand you." From that moment, every day, they began to open up more, sharing their feelings, their past pains, and their unspoken expectations. One evening, as they sat together in the garden, Emily suggested something. "Mom, I think we should start a project together, something that can bring us closer. Maybe we could do a painting or take a trip together." Sophia smiled, feeling lighter than she had in years. "I'd love to travel with you both. But I think I also need to learn how to love myself first." Their small family trip to the peaceful spots in Victoria brought them closer. They laughed together, cried together, and, most importantly, they learned to accept the cracks in their family to heal their relationships. A year later, when Sophia returned to Sydney, she could feel the change within herself. She no longer felt weighed down by past memories, and more importantly, she had found peace within her heart. Love in a family wasn't about perfection. It was about the ongoing process of forgiveness and understanding. One evening, as Sophia gazed at the starlit sky, she wrote a letter to Emily and James. "My dear children, I know nothing is perfect in our family, but we've learned that true love is acceptance. We can't change the past, but we can change how we view it and how we love each other." Sophia's life had transformed in ways she never imagined possible. Over the next few months, she settled back into her routine in Sydney. The mornings were peaceful, filled with quiet moments of reflection and simple pleasures, tea on the porch, tending to her garden, and the occasional phone call with James and Emily. However, as much as her relationship with her children had improved, there were still moments when Sophia found herself reflecting on the years she spent in isolation. The pain from those years of silence and distance between her and her children still lingered, though softened by the healing they had all experienced. She knew that while the cracks in their family had been mended, the memories of her past would never fully disappear. Yet, for the first time in years, Sophia felt a sense of hope for the future. One afternoon, as she was taking a walk near the beach, she met an older woman named Helen. Helen, who was in her mid-70s, had recently moved to Sydney after the passing of her husband. The two women struck up a conversation about life, family, and the challenges that come with growing older. Sophia, often reluctant to share her deeper emotions, found herself opening up to Helen more than she had expected. "I can relate to what you're saying," Helen said one afternoon as they sat together at a local cafe. "After my husband passed, I thought I had lost everything. But it wasn't until I learned to live for myself, instead of for others, that I truly began to heal." Sophia nodded, taking in her words. She was beginning to understand that her journey was not just about reconciling with her children, but also about rediscovering herself and finding joy in her own life. She had spent so many years prioritizing her family's needs that she had forgotten to nurture her own desires and passions. One weekend, Sophia decided to take a pottery class, something she had always wanted to try but never had the time for. As she sat at the wheel, shaping the clay, she realized that this was a moment of personal freedom. For the first time in a long while, she was doing something purely for herself, something that required no approval from anyone else. As the months passed, Sophia became more involved in the local art community. She joined a group of women who met regularly to paint, sculpt, and share their experiences. It was a space where they could express their feelings freely, without judgment or expectation. Sophia had found something new, a purpose outside of her role as a mother, grandmother, and caretaker. Emily, noticing the change in her mother, visited her one weekend to check on her. As they sat together in Sophia's small, cozy studio, Emily was struck by how vibrant and content her mother seemed. The walls were adorned with colorful pottery and abstract paintings that Sophia had created over the past few months. "Mom, I didn't know you had this talent," Emily said with admiration, tracing her fingers along one of Sophia's paintings. "It's beautiful." Sophia smiled, feeling a deep sense of pride. "I never knew I had it in me either. But I've learned that it's okay to discover new parts of yourself, even at my age." As Sophia continued to embrace her creative journey, her relationship with James and Emily flourished. They began to visit more often, and Sophia no longer felt like a bystander in their lives. Instead, she was an active participant, sharing her art, her dreams, and her newfound perspective on life. The distance that once separated them had completely disappeared, replaced by a deep sense of respect and love. One evening, as the family gathered at Sophia's house for dinner, James made a heartfelt toast. "Mom, I've seen you change in ways I never expected. You've taught me and Emily that it's never too late to start something new, to let go of the past, and to live authentically. I'm so proud of you." Tears welled up in Sophia's eyes as she looked at her children. "Thank you, James. Thank you, Emily. You've both given me a second chance at life, and I couldn't be more grateful. I've learned that love, healing, and happiness are not just for the young, but for everyone, no matter their age." The family embraced, and for the first time, Sophia felt a deep sense of peace. She had come full circle, not just with her children, but with herself. Sophia's transformation did not go unnoticed. Her art was displayed in local galleries, and she became an inspiration to many older adults in her community. She spoke at senior centers, encouraging others to follow their passions and live fully, no matter what stage of life they were in. Sophia became a symbol of reinvention and hope for those who believed their best years were behind them. One afternoon, as she was preparing for another exhibition, Sophia sat down to write a letter to her grandchildren, who lived in the United States. She wanted them to know the lessons she had learned, lessons that she wished to pass on to future generations. Dear my beloved grandchildren, I want you to know that no matter how old you are, life always has something new to offer. Don't be afraid to explore, to learn, to fail, and to grow. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Create it yourself. The greatest gift you can give to yourselves is the permission to live authentically and with passion. I've learned that it's never too late to make a change. The beauty of life is that we always have the opportunity to start over, to heal, and to embrace new possibilities. I am proud of the journey I've taken, and I hope that you, too, will embrace your own path with open arms. With all my love, Grandma Sophia. Sophia's death, though peaceful and surrounded by family, was felt deeply by everyone who knew her. She had become an inspiration, a beacon of hope for so many who believed that their time for reinvention had passed. As her family navigated through their grief, they began to realize just how much of her legacy lived on in the lives she had touched. James, in particular, was deeply moved by his mother's journey. He had always admired her strength and resilience, but seeing how she had found joy and purpose in the final years of her life made him reflect on his own life choices. He had spent much of his life focused on his career and family, but had neglected his own passions, writing, photography, and travel. Inspired by Sophia's courage to embrace the unknown, he decided to make a change. With Emily's support, James took a sabbatical from his job and began a personal project to document the beauty of small, everyday moments, just as his mother had done with her art. He traveled to remote towns in Australia, capturing the lives of ordinary people, their struggles, and their triumphs. Through this project, James found a new sense of fulfillment. He realized that the best stories were often the quiet ones, the stories of ordinary people overcoming their struggles, just like his mother had. Emily, too, was changed by her mother's example. Having struggled with feelings of inadequacy for much of her life, Emily had always felt that she was not enough. But Sophia had taught her that no one needs to be perfect to be loved or to live a meaningful life. Emily started her own writing project, documenting the stories of the elderly people she met through her work as a social worker. She wanted to honor their wisdom and experiences, just as her mother had done for her. It was her way of keeping Sophia's spirit alive. Sophia's grandchildren, who had spent much of their childhood growing up in the United States, began to understand their grandmother's legacy through their parents. They had always admired her from afar, but they hadn't fully grasped the depth of her impact until they visited Australia for a family gathering a year after her passing. They toured Sophia's studio and looked through the artwork she had created, finding stories and expressions of her soul in every piece. Sophia's eldest granddaughter, Lily, who was now in her early 20s, found a letter her grandmother had written to her before she passed away. In it, Sophia had shared her hopes and dreams for the future of her family, encouraging Lily to follow her heart and not be afraid of the unknown. I want you to remember, Sophia had written, that your life is your own to shape. Don't let fear or doubt hold you back. Create the life you want, even if it means starting over. Lily was moved by these words and decided to leave her corporate job to pursue her passion for art and design. She enrolled in a prestigious art school in Paris and began working on a new project that blended her cultural heritage with modern design. It was her way of honoring her grandmother's legacy while creating her own path. Sophia's family had learned, through her example, that it was never too late to make a change, to follow your heart, and to embrace life fully even in the face of loss. Her legacy wasn't just in the art she left behind, but in the way she had inspired her children and grandchildren to live authentically. As the years passed, Sophia's family decided to establish a foundation in her name, the Sophia Miller Foundation for Creative Reinvention. The foundation's mission was to support older adults who wanted to explore new creative pursuits, whether it be art, writing, or even entrepreneurship. The foundation provided grants, mentorship, and workshops to help seniors find their voice and express themselves, just as Sophia had done in her final years. The foundation became a hub for people from all walks of life, each with their own story of reinvention. Seniors who had once thought their creative dreams were behind them now had the opportunity to pursue them. The foundation hosted annual retreats, where participants could spend a week focusing on their passions, guided by mentors who understood the unique challenges of starting over later in life. One of the first workshops was dedicated to documenting the stories of those who had participated in the program. These stories became a book titled New Beginnings, Stories of Creative Reinvention, a collection of essays, poems, and artworks that celebrated the power of starting over. The book was widely praised, and it became a symbol of the foundation's commitment to helping older adults find their creative voice. James, Emily, and even Sophia's grandchildren became actively involved in the foundation, not only contributing financially, but also working as mentors and advocates for the cause. They saw it as a way to keep Sophia's spirit alive and to continue her work of helping others find fulfillment in their later years. As the foundation grew, so did the awareness of Sophia's story. Her journey was featured in local and international media, showcasing how one woman's pursuit of creativity had impacted generations. In her hometown of Sydney, a special event was held in Sophia's honor, where her art was displayed in a public gallery. The event drew thousands of visitors, many of whom had never known Sophia personally but were inspired by the way she had reinvented herself at a time when most people might have thought it was too late. At the event, James stood before the crowd and shared a heartfelt speech. "My mother taught us all that it's never too late to start again. She lived a full life, filled with love, creativity, and compassion. And through her, we've learned that no matter how old we are, we always have the power to create something beautiful. This foundation, this gallery, and every project we undertake in her name is a tribute to her spirit." The crowd erupted in applause, and Sophia's artwork, vibrant, passionate, and full of life, told the story of a woman who had defied the expectations of age and had lived her final years with an energy and purpose that was contagious. As the years passed, the Sophia Miller Foundation began to make a profound impact on communities far beyond Sydney. What started as a small, family-run organization quickly expanded, attracting the attention of major philanthropists, local governments, and even international artists. The foundation's approach to nurturing creativity in later life became a model for other organizations, and soon, similar initiatives popped up in the US, the UK, and Canada, all inspired by Sophia's legacy. Sophia's grandchildren, now grown, were at the heart of this expansion. Lily, who had become a successful designer in Paris, came back to Australia for a special project, a national exhibition that would showcase the work of senior artists who had been supported by the foundation. The exhibit was called Timeless Visions, a tribute to Sophia Miller, and it featured not only artwork created by those who had found their creative voice later in life, but also pieces inspired by Sophia herself. Lily, with the help of her cousins, coordinated the event with love and care. It was held in a stunning old warehouse that had been converted into a gallery. The walls were lined with paintings, sculptures, and photographs created by seniors who had rediscovered their passion through the foundation. The exhibition was a success, drawing in thousands of visitors, many of whom were in their 60s or 70s, now feeling the courage to take up their paintbrushes or cameras. But beyond the art itself, the event marked something deeper, a generational shift. The younger attendees, especially those in their 20s and 30s, began to understand the importance of nurturing their own creative passions and began to see their older relatives in a new light, not just as caretakers or parents, but as creators in their own right. One evening during the exhibition, as the crowd began to disperse and the final guests filtered out, Emily stood in front of one of her mother's paintings, a swirling, colorful abstract piece that had always held a special place in Sophia's heart. Her eyes filled with tears as she remembered her mother's words, often spoken during quiet moments. Art is life, and life is art. Every brushstroke is a new beginning, a new chapter. James stood beside her, watching as people admired Sophia's work, each piece telling a story of resilience, transformation, and creativity. "She would have been so proud of how far we've come," James said softly. "She always believed in us, in her family, but I never imagined her legacy would extend this far." Emily nodded, wiping her eyes. "Neither did I. But look at how many lives she's touched. She gave us the permission to live fully, no matter our age." Their conversation was interrupted by a young woman who approached them with a bright smile. "I just wanted to thank you. Your mother's work inspired me to take up painting again after years of being afraid to try. I never thought I could be an artist at my age. I'm 63, and I thought I was too old to start something new. But seeing her story, it changed everything for me." Emily smiled warmly, feeling the weight of her mother's influence. That's exactly what she wanted, to show everyone that it's never too late. She believed that age should never limit your creativity. The young woman nodded, her eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you for sharing her with the world. I'm going to start a new piece tomorrow." Years later, as the foundation continued to grow, a significant milestone was reached. Sophia's great-grandson, Max, now a young adult with a keen interest in digital media, proposed a project that would further cement the Miller family's commitment to creative reinvention. His idea was to create an interactive digital platform that would allow older adults from around the world to showcase their artwork, stories, and creative pursuits. The platform, called Reignite, would give seniors the chance to connect with like-minded individuals and share their creative journeys. The family embraced the idea, and soon, Reignite became a massive success. It wasn't just about displaying art. It became a place where older adults could mentor one another, share techniques, and support each other in their creative endeavors. Max, along with Lily, James, and Emily, worked tirelessly to ensure the platform reflected the values of Sophia: inclusivity, empowerment, and creativity. On the launch day of Reignite, Max stood in front of his family and said, "This is just the beginning. This platform will allow us to continue Sophia's mission of empowering people of all ages to express themselves. And just like she did for us, we'll keep passing the torch for generations to come." As Sophia's legacy grew stronger with each passing year, her family decided to honor her in a way that would last for generations. They established a scholarship fund through the Sophia Miller Foundation, providing financial assistance for seniors who wanted to pursue creative education but lacked the resources. The scholarship was designed to give older adults the opportunity to attend art schools, creative writing programs, or workshops that would help them hone their craft. The first recipient of the scholarship was a 71-year-old woman named Margaret, who had spent most of her life as a caregiver and had never had the chance to pursue her dream of becoming a writer. With the scholarship, Margaret enrolled in a creative writing course and, within 2 years, published her first novel, a beautiful story about rediscovering oneself in the later years of life. When Margaret received the scholarship, she stood before the crowd at the ceremony and said, "I'm here today because I finally believed in myself, and I want to thank the Miller family for showing us that it's never too late to chase our dreams." The Sophia Miller Foundation and Reignite continued to evolve, and as the years passed, Sophia's vision extended far beyond her family and local communities. The digital platform, Reignite, quickly gained popularity across multiple continents, from the bustling cities of Europe to the quiet corners of North America and Asia. It was a hub where senior artists, writers, musicians, and creators of all kinds could come together, showcase their work, and share their stories with the world. What began as a tribute to Sophia's life had transformed into a global movement, one that championed the idea that creativity had no age limit. The foundation began hosting annual international conferences, bringing together people from all over the world to discuss how creativity can enrich lives, foster connection, and help heal the wounds of isolation. James, now in his late 50s, had stepped into a more prominent role within the foundation. His documentary about seniors finding their voice through art had gained significant recognition, and he was invited to speak at the conferences. Emily had also become a key advocate, helping lead workshops on how to integrate creativity into the caregiving process for seniors, encouraging healthcare professionals to see the value of artistic expression for mental and emotional well-being. Lily, now a renowned designer in Paris, found herself reflecting on the journey she had taken with her family. She had always been inspired by her grandmother's courage, but as the years went on, she realized how much Sophia's lessons had shaped the path she'd taken. Her career in design had been built on a desire to honor tradition, but now Lily wanted to push her boundaries further. She decided to combine her work with the values her grandmother instilled in her: creativity, authenticity, and innovation for the greater good. She launched a new initiative, Design for Good, a project dedicated to creating sustainable, socially responsible designs that not only celebrated beauty but also helped uplift communities. She partnered with local artisans in remote areas, many of whom were senior craftsmen and women who had never had the opportunity to showcase their work on a global stage. Through this initiative, Lily brought the skills of older generations to the forefront of the design world, creating a space for them to share their craft and passion. Lily's projects, inspired by Sophia's belief in the power of creative reinvention at any age, gained global recognition. She was invited to speak at major design festivals, where she emphasized the importance of intergenerational collaboration and how art could break barriers and heal communities. As the Sophia Miller Foundation grew, so did the need to provide more tangible support to aspiring senior artists. To further her legacy, Sophia's children and grandchildren decided to establish the Sophia Miller Creative Institute, an educational institution dedicated to offering free or subsidized art programs to older adults. The institute's mission was simple: to give older adults access to quality education in the arts, regardless of their financial circumstances. The courses covered a wide range of disciplines, from painting and sculpture to writing and photography. The institute quickly became a place where people could rediscover their creative passions, learn new skills, and connect with like-minded individuals. The institute was located in a large, modern building with studio spaces, classrooms, and galleries. James and Emily, along with the help of several experts in the arts and education, curated a curriculum that focused not just on technical skills, but also on fostering a sense of community. They wanted the institute to be a place where people could feel safe, empowered, and free to express themselves, just as Sophia had done. The opening of the institute was a momentous occasion. Hundreds of seniors, many of whom had never held a paintbrush or written a word of fiction, signed up for classes. The first exhibition, showcasing the work of the Institute's inaugural class, was a beautiful celebration of creativity at every stage of life. As the Institute flourished, so did the personal transformations of the people it served. One of the first students of the Sophia Miller Creative Institute was a 68-year-old woman named Clara, who had spent most of her life working as a nurse. After her retirement, Clara found herself feeling adrift, unsure of what to do with her time. She had always wanted to paint, but never thought she had the skill. After enrolling in a painting class at the Institute, Clara quickly discovered a talent she never knew she had. Her first canvas, a vibrant depiction of the sea, was featured in the Institute's inaugural exhibition. Clara was overwhelmed with the response to her work and felt an emotional release she hadn't experienced in years. She realized that her creativity had been dormant for decades, and now it was alive again, reminding her that it was never too late to start anew. Clara went on to become a mentor at the Institute, teaching other seniors how to overcome their doubts and embrace their creative potential. She often said, Sophia's story gave me the courage to take the first step. Now, I'm helping others do the same. Sophia's legacy had come full circle. The Sophia Miller Foundation, the Sophia Miller Creative Institute, and Reignite were now internationally recognized as symbols of hope and reinvention for older adults. Sophia's family continued to honor her by living the values she had instilled in them, the belief that no matter your age, you could always reinvent yourself, always start again, and always find joy in the creative process. At the Institute's annual gala, Emily stood before a crowd of supporters and students, her voice steady but full of emotion. My mother taught me that the heart of creativity is resilience. She believed that the stories of our lives are never finished until the last breath. And she proved that every chapter can be written anew. This institute, this foundation, and everything we've built is a tribute to her, a tribute to the power of creativity and the infinite possibilities that exist, no matter where we are in life. As the crowd erupted in applause, Emily felt a sense of peace wash over her. The work that her mother had started years ago was now a beacon for so many others. Sophia's belief in second chances, in living authentically, and in the transformative power of creativity had become a living, breathing testament to the resilience of the human spirit. As the years passed, the Sophia Miller Foundation continued to evolve into a powerful global movement, with chapters in cities across the world. The foundation's influence stretched far beyond the creative arts, touching on education, mental health, and the empowerment of older adults. The foundation had become a beacon for those who once thought that their best years were behind them. The Reignite platform, now available in multiple languages, became a home for millions of seniors eager to reconnect with their creative spirit. From Los Angeles to London, Berlin to Tokyo, seniors were posting their art, writing stories, and participating in online workshops. The platform wasn't just a virtual gallery, it was a community where people could share their personal stories, struggles, and victories, proving that creativity transcended age. The foundation also partnered with universities and institutions worldwide to offer scholarships for older adults seeking to further their education in the arts. These scholarships were not just about acquiring technical skills, they were about fostering a sense of purpose, providing older generations with the tools to heal, grow, and contribute to society in ways they hadn't imagined possible. Lily, now an internationally recognized designer, continued to lead Design for Good, her initiative that connected artisans from around the world. She partnered with the foundation to bring together senior artisans from underprivileged regions, offering them the chance to showcase their work on global platforms. This initiative, which combined sustainable design with the talents of older artisans, garnered attention from major fashion houses and design festivals. Lily often reflected on the depth of her grandmother's impact. Sophia's vision was never just about creativity, it was about community, she said in an interview. She showed us that creativity is a force that can bring people together, heal wounds, and change lives. That's what we're doing now. As James sat in his office one quiet afternoon, he received a call from a woman who had been a longtime supporter of the foundation. Her name was Margaret, a former nurse who had been one of the first recipients of the foundation's creative scholarships. Her voice crackled with excitement. "James, I just wanted to share something with you," Margaret said. "I'm 75 now, and I've just finished my second book. It's a collection of short stories about the elderly, our experiences, our wisdom, and how we still have so much to offer the world. It's being published next month." James smiled, feeling a deep sense of pride. "That's amazing, Margaret. I always knew you had a story to tell. Your book is going to inspire so many people." Margaret chuckled softly. "I couldn't have done it without Sophia's legacy. The foundation gave me the confidence to believe in myself again. Before that, I never thought I had the right to speak my truth. But now, I'm sharing it with the world." This conversation was a poignant reminder of the ripple effect Sophia's legacy had created. It wasn't just about art, It was about empowering people to find their voice, to speak out, and to share their wisdom. Through the foundation, Sophia's life's work was continuing to inspire people to take ownership of their stories and their creativity. In a quiet ceremony in Sydney, a new monument was unveiled in honor of Sophia's contributions to the creative community. The monument was not just a statue, but a functional space, a beautifully designed park where visitors could sit, create, and reflect. Sculptures, fountains, and benches adorned the space, and it became a sanctuary for both aspiring artists and seasoned creators. The ceremony was attended by Sophia's children, grandchildren, and close friends, along with members of the global creative community that had been touched by her life. The unveiling was marked by a speech from James, who stood in front of the monument, his voice filled with emotion. "This park is not just a tribute to my mother," James began, "but a symbol of everything she believed in. The power of creativity, the importance of never giving up, and the belief that no matter how old we are, we can always start again. My mother's legacy lives on in each person who picks up a paintbrush, writes a poem, or steps into a classroom to learn something new." The crowd applauded as a banner was lifted to reveal the monument, a large open book with pages made of gleaming metal, symbolizing the stories of those who had been inspired by Sophia's example. Inside the book were inscribed her favorite words, "It's never too late to create." As the years passed, Sophia's family continued to honor her memory through the work they did with the foundation. The Art Institute, the scholarships, and the global programs remained strong pillars of the community. But as her legacy grew, they realized there was something even more important they could give back, a gift that would help shape the future of the foundation for generations to come. Sophia had always believed that the most powerful change happens when we reach across generations and share knowledge. So, in her final days, she had left a handwritten letter to her children and grandchildren, which they discovered after her passing. In it, she shared her vision for the future. "My dears, the greatest gift you can give is the opportunity for others to learn, to grow, and to create. The world is always changing, but creativity, the ability to express ourselves, to understand others through our art, is timeless. Please make sure that this foundation is not just about giving money or awards, but about giving people the tools to transform their own lives. Pass on the gift of creativity to those who will come after you." Her children took this letter to heart, and in the years following her passing, they created the Sophia Miller Endowment Fund, which focused on supporting education programs for young adults in underprivileged communities. The endowment allowed the foundation to offer free creative courses to young people who had been overlooked by traditional educational systems, ensuring that future generations would have access to the same transformative opportunities that had changed Sophia's life. Sophia Miller's legacy had blossomed into something far beyond what her family ever imagined. The Sophia Miller Foundation and its programs became global landmarks for creative reinvention, and the work that had begun in a small Sydney studio had now reached the far corners of the earth. Artists of all ages, from the youngest child to seniors rediscovering their artistic voice, had found their place within Sophia's vision. The Reignite platform had expanded, now offering mentorship opportunities where experienced artists could guide beginners, regardless of age. This mentorship program became a lifeline for many older adults who had spent decades raising families or working jobs they weren't passionate about, but were now discovering the joy of creativity in their golden years. Many of these seniors went on to exhibit their works in global galleries and contribute to the cultural landscape in ways they had never imagined. James, Emily, and Lily continued to lead the charge, each finding their own way to amplify Sophia's mission. James now directed the global expansion of Reignite, traveling from city to meet with artists and showcase their stories. Emily, who had once struggled to find her own creative voice, became a renowned speaker on the importance of mental health and the arts. She frequently traveled to senior communities to speak about the therapeutic effects of creativity and the healing power of self-expression. Lily's design for good continued to grow, partnering with Reignite to provide sustainable design opportunities for older artists, many of whom were now designing products that not only expressed their creativity but also gave back to their communities. Her initiative now helps support a network of social entrepreneurs, many of whom were seniors, creating eco-friendly designs while providing employment for marginalized groups. As the foundation's global reach grew, a significant milestone was realized: the creation of the Sophia Miller Creative Legacy Award, a prestigious award that honored individuals who had demonstrated extraordinary creativity and resilience in their later years. This award was more than just an accolade. It was a symbol of the power of reinvention, of starting again, and of living fully, regardless of one's age. The first recipient of the award was a 72-year-old woman named Clara, who had spent most of her life as a schoolteacher. After retiring, Clara found herself lost and searching for purpose. It was only when she took up painting at a local community center that she began to truly heal from the losses and regrets that had followed her through much of her life. Her paintings, vibrant and expressive, gained local recognition and were eventually displayed in galleries around the country. Clara had become a voice for those who had long felt forgotten, showing them that it was never too late to find beauty in life. At the award ceremony, Clara stood on stage, holding her award with tears in her eyes. "I never thought I'd be standing here today," she said to the crowd. "But Sophia's story showed me that even at 70, I could start again. I could create. And now I stand here, honored and humbled, as someone who dared to live again." The audience erupted in applause, and Clara's story was shared worldwide. The Sophia Miller Creative Legacy Award became a way of recognizing the unrecognized, of shedding light on the quiet heroes who had found their second chance at creativity. As time went on, the impact of Sophia Miller's life and work continued to grow. The Sophia Miller Creative Institute became a leading institution in the arts, hosting conferences, masterclasses, and workshops attended by thousands of aspiring creators from around the globe. Every year, the institute hosted a grand event, the Sophia Miller Creative Renaissance, an exhibition that showcased the works of seniors, not just from Australia, but from countries as far as Japan, Brazil, and the United States. The exhibition became a cultural milestone, illustrating the vast diversity of creativity that transcended age. Sophia's family, especially her grandchildren, continued to be deeply involved in these projects, each finding their own way to honor their grandmother's legacy. Max, who had created Reignite, now worked on expanding the platform's offerings, using virtual reality and artificial intelligence to provide even more innovative ways for people to engage with art and creativity. Lily's design projects expanded into new, cutting-edge social initiatives, ensuring that older adults, no matter where they lived, could access the tools they needed to express themselves artistically. She had built partnerships with various healthcare organizations to integrate creative expression into therapy for elderly patients suffering from dementia and Alzheimer's, allowing them to reconnect with their pasts through art. At the end of her life, Sophia's great-granddaughter, Nora, who had been inspired by the stories passed down through generations, became a leader within the foundation. She decided to dedicate her life to preserving the stories of those who had been impacted by the foundation, stories of late bloomers, creators, and individuals who had found their purpose later in life. One afternoon, as Nora sat at her desk, working on a new initiative for the foundation, she received a letter. It was a letter from a woman who had been one of the first to receive a grant from the Sophia Miller Creative Institute decades ago. The woman, now in her 90s, had recently completed a memoir documenting her life as an artist. She wrote, "Dear Nora, I write to you to thank your great-grandmother, whose legacy allowed me to live my truth as an artist. Without the encouragement of the Institute, I would have never thought I could write my story. Sophia's work, her passion, and her belief in all of us, no matter our age, has shaped my life in ways words can't express. I hope that you, too, will continue to inspire others as she inspired me. Nora sat back in her chair, deeply moved by the letter. She understood now, more than ever, the weight of the responsibility passed down to her. She was no longer just a descendant of Sophia Miller. She was now a part of the movement that would carry her grandmother's message forward. As she looked out the window, she saw the sun setting on the horizon, the same horizon that had once seemed so distant, so out of reach. But Sophia had shown them all that no horizon was too far and no dream too impossible to reach. Nora smiled, knowing that the work was far from over. It was just beginning. As the years passed, Sophia's family felt an ever-growing sense of responsibility to continue her work and ensure her legacy was preserved for future generations. The world was changing, and with it, the way people interacted with art and creativity. Digital platforms, social media, and technology had reshaped the creative landscape in ways no one could have imagined when Sophia first started the foundation. Max, now a leader in the tech space, had a vision for a new initiative that would combine art, technology, and intergenerational connections. He wanted to develop an immersive, digital art experience that would connect seniors with younger generations in a collaborative way, giving both groups the opportunity to create and share their stories through new technologies like virtual reality, VR, augmented reality, AR, and digital storytelling. Max launched the Sophia Miller Digital Art Lab, a cutting-edge initiative that used VR and AR to create virtual studios for seniors where they could interact with artists around the world in real time. This new platform allowed older artists to create digitally while connecting with young, emerging artists and designers. These virtual studios became spaces where both groups could collaborate, exchange ideas, and create art that spanned generations and cultures. One of the first collaborations on the Sophia Miller Digital Art Lab was between a 70-year-old sculptor from Greece and a 19-year-old digital artist from Canada. The two worked together to create a digital piece that explored themes of heritage, memory, and the passage of time, bringing their different perspectives together in a breathtaking way. The project was exhibited at an international art festival and garnered praise for its innovative fusion of traditional art and modern technology. With the success of the Digital Art Lab, Max and Lily worked together to create the Sophia Miller Virtual Gallery, a groundbreaking digital space where art from senior artists could be showcased to a global audience. Unlike traditional galleries, the virtual gallery allowed people to experience art in a fully immersive 3D environment. Visitors could walk through virtual rooms filled with paintings, sculptures, and multimedia art pieces, all created by older adults whose work was often overlooked in the traditional art world. The launch of the virtual gallery was nothing short of revolutionary. It received worldwide attention from art critics, collectors, and enthusiasts who marveled at the platform's ability to bridge generations and cultures through technology. It was a true reflection of Sophia's belief that art was not bound by age and that creativity was a lifelong pursuit. In addition to its exhibition space, the gallery featured interactive workshops and educational programs where artists of all ages could attend classes taught by both established and emerging artists. The gallery became a place of learning, growth, and community, allowing older artists to share their knowledge and experiences with younger generations. Sophia's great-grandchildren, who had grown up hearing stories of their grandmother's creativity, took on key roles in managing and promoting the virtual gallery. As the next generation of the Miller family, they understood the power of Sophia's example and felt privileged to carry her legacy forward. Their efforts ensured that her message of reinvention and creativity would continue to inspire future generations. As the Sophia Miller Foundation celebrated its 50th anniversary, James, Emily and their children decided to host a monumental event to honor the life and legacy of Sophia Miller. It would be a celebration of creativity, reinvention, and the power of art to transform lives. They called it the Sophia Miller Global Creative Exhibition. The exhibition, which took place in Sydney, was a mix of physical and digital experiences. Artworks created by seniors from around the world were displayed both in a grand gallery space and virtually through the Sophia Miller Virtual Gallery. The event brought together artists from every corner of the globe, showcasing the incredible diversity of art created by people in their later years. The opening night of the exhibition was a poignant moment for the Miller family. As they stood in the gallery, surrounded by hundreds of pieces of art and the people who had contributed to the legacy, they could feel their mother and grandmother's presence in every corner. James gave the opening speech. "We stand here today because of one woman, Sophia Miller, who believed that creativity is timeless. She showed us all that no matter where we are in life, we have the ability to create, to change, and to connect with others." This exhibition is not just a tribute to her, but to the thousands of people whose lives have been changed by her vision. Sophia's children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren stood proudly by, knowing that their efforts had created something much larger than themselves. It was a moment of deep reflection and gratitude, a testament to the enduring power of creativity to shape lives, inspire generations, and heal wounds. As the years rolled on, the Sophia Miller Foundation continued to flourish, becoming an institution in the global art world. The foundation's work helped millions of people rediscover their creative passions, transform their lives, and redefine what it meant to live fully, no matter their age. The Sophia Miller Virtual Gallery reached millions of visitors each year, and the foundation's scholarship programs supported thousands of seniors who were looking to expand their artistic horizons. Sophia's influence was felt across the world, not just in the art world, but in every corner of society. The foundation's work with mental health, the arts, and community building had touched hearts and minds, proving that the power of creativity could heal and unite even the most fragmented communities. At the heart of this movement was the simple yet powerful message Sophia had shared: it's never too late to create. This message continued to inspire people of all ages, reminding them that their stories were still being written, their creativity was still alive, and that the best chapters of their lives were still ahead of them. In the final moments of the anniversary celebration, the Miller family gathered together in the same park where the monument to Sophia had once been unveiled. They stood in front of the statue of Sophia, a figure frozen in time, holding a paintbrush, and gazing toward the horizon. The evening sun cast a warm glow over the park, and the air was filled with the sounds of laughter, music, and the hum of life. James smiled at his children and grandchildren, knowing that they had fulfilled their promise to carry Sophia's legacy into the future. "We've created something beautiful," he said softly, his voice full of pride. "And this is only the beginning." As the sun set over the park, the Miller family stood together, knowing that Sophia's story would never truly end. It would continue to inspire, to ignite creativity, and to prove that life is a journey of constant reinvention, one that never stops as long as you keep creating. As the Sophia Miller Foundation flourished, the impact of her work reached a pivotal moment. The next generation of Millers, inspired by Sophia's vision, began to take leadership roles in guiding the future of the foundation and its global initiatives. Max, now in his early 30s, had inherited his grandmother's innovative spirit. He led the development of the Sophia Miller Digital Art Lab into an interactive platform where seniors could use cutting-edge technologies such as AI and VR to explore their artistic potential. Through this platform, artists could attend virtual masterclasses, collaborate on art projects from across the globe, and even hold live digital exhibitions. The Digital Art Lab brought together technology and creativity in ways that were unprecedented, expanding the foundation's reach to isolated senior communities in remote regions. Max had always admired Sophia's drive and felt an overwhelming sense of duty to continue her legacy. His own creative journey was shaped by Sophia's belief that age was no barrier to creativity. Inspired by her, Max had decided to explore combining his passion for technology with art, and the result was groundbreaking. "We're at the precipice of something that could redefine how we see aging," Max said at the launch of the Sophia Miller Global Art Summit, where artists from around the world, young and old, gathered to discuss the intersections of technology and art. "My grandmother always said that art was an ever-changing journey, and with Reignite and the Digital Art Lab, we're giving seniors the opportunity to continue their creative journey, no matter where they are in life." The Global Art Summit, one of the largest events organized by the foundation, was held in London that year, bringing together thought leaders, artists, and innovators from every corner of the globe. One of the most significant events was a live, intergenerational collaboration between an 85-year-old classical musician and a 20-year-old electronic music producer, both of whom had been participants in the Sophia Miller Digital Art Lab. The collaboration blended orchestral music with futuristic beats, creating a fusion of tradition and modernity that captivated the audience. The event was a celebration of creativity without boundaries. The collaboration embodied the idea that age did not limit one's potential to create something meaningful. Through the digital platform, seniors were able to connect with younger artists, share knowledge, and create together, overcoming the generational gap and demonstrating that art was a universal language that transcended time. Sophia's legacy was no longer confined to a single family. It had become a global movement that encouraged artistic expression, regardless of age. The Sophia Miller Global Art Summit was broadcast live, reaching millions of viewers worldwide. The event featured not only established artists, but also up-and-coming talents who had been empowered by the Foundation's programs. The world saw firsthand how the creative journey could continue throughout a lifetime, and the conversations surrounding aging began to shift. Rather than being viewed as a time of decline, old age was celebrated as a time of possibility, growth, and reinvention. Sophia's great-grandchildren, who had grown up learning from their grandmother's example, were now actively involved in shaping the future of the foundation. Nora, the eldest of the great-grandchildren, had a deep interest in social innovation. With the rise of digital platforms, Nora had a vision to bring together the power of creative reinvention and community-driven activism. She launched a new initiative within the foundation, Art for Change. Art for Change was designed to amplify the voices of underrepresented communities by giving seniors from marginalized backgrounds the opportunity to use art as a tool for social change. The initiative focused on giving seniors from low-income neighborhoods the resources to explore creative projects, voice their concerns, and advocate for the issues they cared about. Nora's work within the foundation wasn't just about art. It was about creating social movements through creative expression. She worked tirelessly to secure partnerships with social organizations, nonprofits, and community groups, bringing people together from different walks of life. Art for Change became a platform for seniors to contribute to society in a meaningful way, empowering them to make their voices heard through their art. The power of art is not just in its ability to express beauty, it's in its ability to tell the stories that are often overlooked, Nora said at the launch of the initiative. This program will give those who are often forgotten in society the chance to be seen and heard. My great-grandmother's legacy taught me that creativity has the power to change lives, and I'm honored to carry that forward. The Sophia Miller Creative Institute continued to thrive, not only as a place of education, but as a cultural hub that connected people of all ages and backgrounds. One of the Institute's most successful programs was the Intergenerational Mentorship Program, where older adults shared their wisdom and skills with younger students, creating a two-way flow of knowledge and creativity. The Institute had become a place where artists of all generations came together to collaborate, learn, and innovate. In a special event called the Time Capsule Project, students at the Institute worked with seniors to create pieces that combined elements of both generations' experiences. The project was designed to be a metaphor for the passing of knowledge, where the older generation shared their life stories and artistic wisdom, and the younger generation infused it with modern techniques and ideas. The culmination of the project was a public exhibition where pieces of art were displayed alongside video testimonials, allowing visitors to experience the deep emotional connections between the two generations. Sophia's family was now seeing the fruits of their mother and grandmother's legacy in every corner of the world. The Foundation's work, the Sophia Miller Virtual Gallery, and the Sophia Miller Digital Art Lab had touched millions of lives, offering a place for creative expression, community connection, and cultural preservation. The message of reinvention and creativity was no longer confined to those who had known Sophia. It was a global message that resonated with people of all ages. At the closing of the anniversary gala celebrating the 60th year of the Sophia Miller Foundation, the Miller family gathered in front of the statue of Sophia, the monument that had become a symbol of creativity, resilience, and the power of reinvention. James stood before the crowd, his heart full of gratitude as he reflected on how far they had come. The family had built something that would outlive them, something that would continue to touch lives and inspire future generations. Sophia's story began with one woman, but it became so much more, he said softly. It became a movement that encourages each of us, no matter our age, to never stop creating, to never stop growing, and to always believe that it's never too late to begin again. Sophia's children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren stood around the statue, knowing that her legacy would continue to ripple through the world for generations to come. Through their efforts, they had created something powerful, a global community built on love, creativity, and the belief that age is not a barrier, but a gift that offers unique insights and perspectives. As the sun set, casting a golden glow on the monument, the Miller family embraced the truth that Sophia had always known. The greatest art, the greatest love, and the greatest lives are the ones we choose to create. And with that, they continued to write the next chapter of their legacy, one filled with endless possibilities and infinite creativity. Years after Sophia's passing, the world had changed in ways even she could not have foreseen. But through the Sophia Miller Foundation, the Reignite platform, and her digital and educational initiatives, her impact had only deepened. Her message had spread far beyond the initial circles of art and creativity. It had infiltrated the very fabric of society. One of the most profound changes was the way the public viewed aging. Sophia's work, her advocacy, and the Foundation's various programs had shifted the cultural narrative around what it meant to grow older. Rather than seeing age as a limitation, people now saw it as a time of great opportunity, a time for reinvention, and for continuing to contribute meaningfully to the world. But as the Foundation continued to grow, there was a realization among Sophia's family that her legacy had also sparked a different kind of transformation, one that reached those who had long been overlooked, the unsung heroes of creativity. Through the work of the Foundation, thousands of seniors had found their voice, but there were still many who hadn't. These were the individuals whose stories had been lost or never told, often because they did not have the opportunity or the resources to pursue their creative passions. Nora, Sophia's great-granddaughter, who had become an influential figure within the Foundation, realized this gap and proposed a new initiative called the Unseen Voices Project. The project aimed to uncover and amplify the stories of older adults from underrepresented communities, those who had lived quietly but had deeply significant stories to tell through their art, writing, and experiences. The Unseen Voices Project was built upon the idea that every life, no matter how seemingly ordinary, had an extraordinary story to tell. Nora's vision was to identify and collaborate with older adults from marginalized communities such as rural areas, immigrant populations, and underserved urban neighborhoods, giving them the platform to tell their stories. The project began by working with local senior centers, community groups, and nonprofit organizations to identify individuals who had a desire to create but lacked the resources or access to do so. The Unseen Voices project offered free workshops, materials, and mentorship, allowing these individuals to express themselves through writing, visual art, and music. The foundation provided grants to cover travel costs for seniors to attend collaborative sessions and share their work with others. One of the first participants was Maria, an immigrant from the Philippines, who had spent her life caring for others, but had never had the chance to pursue her own artistic dreams. She was in her 70s when she first picked up a paintbrush at one of the workshops. Through painting, she rediscovered a part of herself that had been dormant for decades. Maria's first painting, a vibrant landscape filled with colors that reflected both her native country's beauty and the challenges of her new life in Australia, was featured in the Unseen Voices exhibition. When she spoke about her work at the exhibition, her voice trembled with emotion. "I spent so many years thinking that my life had already been written," Maria shared, "that my dreams had already passed. But now I know that I have a voice, and I want to show others that it's never too late to express yourself." Her story resonated with many, and it became one of the most impactful moments of the project's first year. The exhibition continued to grow as more and more people, whose voices had often been unheard, found their way into the spotlight, sharing their stories and creations with the world. As the Unseen Voices project gained momentum, it became clear that the foundation was not only providing a creative outlet, but also reshaping the way older adults were seen in the educational and artistic landscape. Nora and her team realized that the next step was to create a permanent educational system dedicated to these older creatives, one that integrated new media, digital tools, and traditional art forms. Thus, the Sophia Miller Legacy Academy was born. It wasn't just another art school. It was an institute that blended arts and technology, where older adults could access courses in digital art, storytelling, photography, video production, and more. The academy offered not only traditional art courses, but also ones that taught skills like social media promotion, digital marketing, and personal branding, empowering seniors to take control of their creative careers. Through the academy, older adults from all walks of life gained the tools to navigate the modern art world, where the digital space had become just as important as the physical one. As seniors began creating digital portfolios and sharing their work through platforms like Reignite, the Academy played a critical role in ensuring that these individuals were seen and respected in the broader artistic community. By offering courses in partnership with universities and museums, the Sophia Miller Legacy Academy bridged the gap between traditional institutions and community-based learning, making it possible for older adults to access quality education, no matter their background or financial situation. As the foundation expanded, so did the need for a physical space that could house both the Sophia Miller Virtual Gallery and the Sophia Miller Legacy Academy. The family made the bold decision to establish the Sophia Miller Creative Arts Center, a world-class facility dedicated to the intersection of art, technology, and community. The Sophia Miller Creative Arts Center was designed to be a place where people of all ages, backgrounds, and abilities could come together to create, learn, and share. It featured state-of-the-art studios for painting, sculpture, photography, and digital arts, as well as classrooms for workshops in writing, film production, and other creative disciplines. The center was built in the heart of a revitalized cultural district in Sydney, designed not just as a gallery or classroom space, but as a community hub, a place where anyone, no matter their age or experience, could access resources to enhance their creative lives. At its grand opening, Nora spoke about what the center meant to her and to the legacy of Sophia. "This is more than just a building. It's a home for the creative spirit. It's a place where people can come together, learn from each other, and grow. My great-grandmother taught us that creativity never ends, and that's exactly what this space is about. Endless possibilities, no matter where you are in life." As the Sophia Miller Creative Arts Center flourished, and the projects continued to expand, the Miller family took a moment to reflect on how far they had come. Their grandmother's life had sparked a global movement, but more importantly, it had changed the way people viewed aging and creativity. James stood in front of a group of foundation supporters at a special event celebrating the opening of the center, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "My mother and grandmother believed in the power of starting again, no matter your age. She showed us that life can be a series of reinventions and that each chapter can be better than the last." Her legacy was never just about what she created. Her true gift was showing us how to live creatively, authentically, and without fear. As James spoke, the family gathered around the center's grand hall, each of them thinking about the incredible journey that had begun with Sophia and had grown beyond their wildest dreams. The legacy of Sophia Miller wasn't just in the art she created, but in the hearts and minds of everyone who had been inspired by her story. And as the celebration continued, it was clear that Sophia's message, "It's never too late to create," would echo through generations, carried by the creative work of countless individuals whose lives she had touched. The Sophia Miller Creative Arts Center and the initiatives driven by the Sophia Miller Foundation became iconic models for institutions around the world that championed the power of creativity at every stage of life. Soon, the movement Sophia had sparked grew far beyond the boundaries of her family and foundation. It became a global cause, one that reached across continents and cultures, touching lives in profound ways. Countries that had previously seen seniors as burdens or invisible members of society began to reframe how they viewed aging. Thanks to the Foundation's advocacy, more governments introduced policies to encourage older adults to pursue creative education, entrepreneurial ventures, and community-driven projects. In the UK, local councils set up creative hubs for seniors in every major city. In the US, university programs that specifically catered to senior learners flourished, focusing on art, technology, and self-expression. The Reignite platform, originally conceived as a virtual space for artistic collaboration, had now evolved into a fully immersive, cross-cultural community. It wasn't just about art anymore. It became a platform for seniors to share life experiences, stories, and wisdom, creating a global tapestry of shared human connection. One of the most touching results of this movement was the Art of Wisdom Project, a collaborative global project launched by the Foundation, which invited older adults worldwide to contribute personal stories, paintings, and photographs that depicted the wisdom they had accumulated over the years. These pieces were displayed in exhibitions worldwide, and the stories shared in these exhibitions moved and inspired millions. The project garnered international acclaim, and it was clear that the Foundation's original mission had reached a new, profound scale. Sophia's grandchildren, along with the younger generations of the Miller family, realized that they had a responsibility to carry her work into the future, not just through the institutions and programs they'd established, but through mentoring young people who were passionate about social change and creative reinvention. Nora, now in her early 30s, took a pivotal role in fostering intergenerational mentorship. She worked closely with emerging young leaders in the creative community, offering them not just professional development, but also a deeper understanding of the power of art as a tool for social transformation. Her work was instrumental in creating the Creative Change Fellowship, which paired young artists with senior mentors who had lived through political, social, and cultural changes. This fellowship became a powerful space where these two groups could exchange wisdom, collaborate on projects, and create art with a purpose. One such collaboration was between a young mural artist from New York and a 74-year-old former civil rights activist from New Orleans. Together, they created a mural that commemorated the struggle for equality in the 1960s, while also highlighting the ongoing fight for justice today. Their work was displayed in major cities across the U.S., sparking conversations about the ongoing power of art to fuel activism. Nora's leadership within the Foundation was instrumental in ensuring that Sophia's message remained relevant in the digital age. She had always understood that while the world was rapidly changing, The values her great-grandmother championed would endure. She worked tirelessly to build connections between the physical and digital worlds, ensuring that art remained a tool for personal healing and community building for generations to come. As the 100th anniversary of Sophia's birth approached, her family gathered in Sydney to reflect on everything that had been accomplished. The foundation had touched millions of lives, reshaping the narrative around aging, creativity, and reinvention. The Sophia Miller Creative Arts Center and the Sophia Miller Digital Art Lab were thriving, and the impact of Reignite and the Art of Wisdom project was undeniable. In the quiet of the evening, surrounded by photographs of Sophia and the works created in her name, James stood up, his heart full of pride and gratitude. "I never imagined," he began, "that my mother's dream would evolve into something this powerful. I never imagined that she would inspire so many to not just create, but to live fully, to keep starting over, and to embrace the beauty of reinvention." But here we are, a century after her birth, and her legacy is alive in every stroke of paint, every written word, and every life touched by creativity. Emily stood beside him, her voice filled with emotion as she added, "Sophia always said that the greatest gift we could give to the world was our story." She was right. She left us with her story, and through the work we've done, we've shared that story with millions. Lily, standing in the corner, smiled warmly, knowing that her own creative journey had been shaped by Sophia's unyielding belief in the transformative power of art. "We've made something beautiful," she said softly, "and I know she would have been so proud of what we've done." The family gathered around, a sense of peace and fulfillment settling over them. They had done what Sophia had always believed in, created something beautiful that would continue to inspire long after they were gone. The year Sophia's 100th birthday was celebrated also marked a special moment, the announcement of a scholarship fund created in her name. The Sophia Miller Scholarship for Artistic Reinvention was designed to give financial support to older adults who wanted to pursue their passion for art, but lacked the resources. This scholarship fund would allow seniors from around the world to attend creative workshops, attend universities for art degrees, or engage in mentorship programs that fostered their creative growth. The scholarship was the final piece of the puzzle, the perfect way to honor Sophia's legacy. It was a way of ensuring that the doors to creative reinvention would always be open to those who needed it most. The announcement was made during the Sophia Miller Global Art Summit, a moment of reflection and celebration for the generations that had carried her work forward. The scholarship fund would continue to grow, supporting countless future artists, creators, and storytellers, just as Sophia had supported her own family, encouraging them to live authentically and creatively. As the years passed, the Sophia Miller Foundation continued to grow, becoming an institution known worldwide for its pioneering work in supporting older creatives. The legacy of Sophia's belief in lifelong learning, reinvention, and artistic expression had blossomed into something larger than anyone had ever anticipated. It wasn't just an organization, it was a movement, a testament to the power of creativity to transform lives at any age. Nora, now in her mid-40s, stood at the helm of the foundation. She had spent years building on her great-grandmother's work, expanding it into new territories. She often found herself reflecting on Sophia's journey, thinking about how one woman's vision had ignited such a profound ripple effect that was still expanding, generation after generation. But as Nora gazed out at the crowded event hall during the latest Sophia Miller Global Arts Summit, she couldn't help but feel an overwhelming sense of gratitude. This summit, held every year, was the largest it had ever been. Artists from all over the world, young and old, had gathered to share their work, collaborate, and celebrate the creative revolution that Sophia had started. The theme of the summit was Creativity Without Borders, a fitting tribute to the global movement that had grown out of the simple idea that it was never too late to start over, to create, and to contribute. Nora was scheduled to give the keynote address that evening, and as she prepared herself backstage, she felt her great-grandmother's presence. Sophia had always said, "The most important thing you can give the world is your unique voice, no matter your age." Nora knew that those words were now more relevant than ever. The moment arrived. Nora stepped onto the stage, her heart full of both pride and humility. As she looked out at the faces in the audience, she saw seniors who had become artists, young people who were inspired by older generations, and a collective sense of hope and empowerment that filled the room. "Good evening, everyone," Nora began, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "Tonight, we are here to celebrate the spirit of reinvention that my great-grandmother, Sophia Miller, instilled in all of us. She taught us that creativity doesn't come with an expiration date. It's something that lives inside of us, waiting to be awakened." Nora paused, looking out over the crowd, feeling the weight of her great-grandmother's legacy in that moment. "I stand here today because of the foundation she built, the work she did, and the vision she had for this world, a vision where creativity could be shared and celebrated at any stage of life. And through that vision, I have learned something important, that it's not just the artists we honor, but the courage it takes to start something new, to begin again, and to share our stories." The audience applauded, a moment of shared recognition for everything that had been accomplished. Nora continued, her voice stronger now. "The Sophia Miller Foundation has created a global community of individuals who are not afraid to redefine their lives, to embrace their passions, and to inspire others to do the same. That is the greatest gift we can give: hope, belief, and the permission to live creatively at any age." With those words, the room erupted in applause, and Nora's heart swelled with pride. She knew that Sophia's work would continue, not just in the foundation, but in every creative act that took place in the world. The seeds of reinvention and creativity had been planted, and they would continue to grow in every generation. As the evening went on, the conversations, the art, and the stories continued to unfold. The summit was a space where creativity flowed freely, and connections were made that would last a lifetime. Nora mingled with the artists and leaders who had been influenced by her great-grandmother's work. Among them was Clara, one of the original participants in the Unseen Voices project. She had become a beloved mentor to other seniors in the program, and her story had been shared on various platforms, inspiring countless others to embrace their creative potential. Clara approached Nora, a smile on her face. "You've done something truly remarkable, Nora. Sophia would be so proud." Nora smiled back, feeling a sense of peace. "Thank you, Clara. I think she would be proud of all of us. The journey she started is never-ending. It's something that keeps evolving, keeps inspiring. We are all part of that story now." As Clara nodded, Nora realized that, in many ways, this summit represented the perfect full circle. The foundation had started with Sophia's belief in the transformative power of creativity, but it had become something larger than any one individual. It was a movement, a story that had grown and evolved, and one that would continue to inspire others for generations to come. As the summit concluded, the family gathered in the heart of the Sophia Miller Creative Arts Center. The evening was filled with laughter, music, and stories of artistic triumphs, both big and small. The air was thick with the sense of accomplishment, of seeing how far the foundation had come and how many lives had been touched. James, now older but filled with the same pride he'd carried since the foundation's earliest days, stood next to Nora. They shared a quiet moment, reflecting on the incredible journey their family had undertaken. "You've done it, Nora," James said. "You've carried this vision further than I ever thought possible. Sophia's dream is alive, and it's thriving." Nora, looking around at the smiling faces of their family and the artists who had become part of the foundation's story, smiled back. "We all did it. We've all carried it forward." In that moment, she knew her great-grandmother's vision would continue to live on, not just in the institutions they had built, but in the hearts of the people who had been touched by the message. It's never too late to start again. As the family gathered around the statue of Sophia, now a permanent fixture at the center, they felt her presence in every corner of the creative world they had nurtured. And as they walked away, filled with a quiet sense of fulfillment, Nora's thoughts turned to the future. Her great-grandmother's words echoed in her mind. The most important thing you can give the world is your unique voice, no matter your age. And she knew that, just like Sophia, each chapter of their journey was never really finished. There would always be new beginnings, new creative endeavors, and endless opportunities to change the world.